Listen, okay, I'm not somebody who's easily offended. I find value in brazen, absurdist humor and shocking comedy. But the thing is, everything has its time and place. Should a classroom full of kindergartners be shown videos of a Gwar concert? Probably not. Should a daycare be putting on Drawn Together to keep the kids entertained? I would certainly hope not. With that being said, I can't help but question the time and place of the Ren and Stimpy show. Having premiered in the initial trio of original Nickelodeon cartoons, it absolutely stuck out like a sore pink thumb. Next to the other two original Nicktoons, Rugrats and Doug, Ren and Stimpy looked like South Park. This cartoon was mostly offensive imagery and oftentimes not so hidden innuendos. To put it blatantly though, this was during a different time for cartoons. We have to keep in mind that once upon a time, cartoons weren't widely aimed at children. For example, during the golden era of Looney Tunes, like the 1940s through the 60s, these cartoons were airing in movie theaters before major motion pictures. They were made by adults for adults, oftentimes naturally with adult humor. Hence why a surprising amount of them end with a character taking their own life, or just in general having references to celebrities from nearly 100 years ago. The real key point here is the time and place. As absurd as it was to see a cartoon end with Daffy Duck dressed as the devil drinking gasoline and swallowing a match as he performs his stunt that he can only do once, we have to keep in mind that when that cartoon aired, it was under the impression that it was going to be shown to adults in a movie theater before their film. Meanwhile, Ren and Stimpy, on the other hand, premiered directly on a children's network. All of these episodes had to go past executives and the overall chain of command at Nickelodeon. Now, for clarity, this isn't a virtue signaling, "oh no, it's so offensive" video. However, this one serves to say, why does no one ever bring up this episode in the conversation of what's the most messed up episode of Ren and Stimpy? Let's just be real. There are a plethora of Ren and Stimpy episodes that were banned by Nickelodeon after airing or censored from their original format. However, it seems that everybody jumps to man's best friend when it comes to the discussion of the most controversial episode. Myself included. Years ago I made a video about banned episodes of Ren and Stimpy, and of course that episode was the big one as everyone had hyped it up so much as just being so offensive. And without a doubt, that one was offensive, but there's an episode that's also pretty high up there that no one ever talks about. And that's why today, on our nostalgic walk down memory lane, we're going to check out an episode of Ren and Stimpy that was banned from reruns on Nickelodeon that, in my opinion, doesn't get brought up enough. Really quick though, before I get into it, I just want to say that my birthday was on August 17th. Honestly, I don't know when this video's coming out. I'm Stu Pickles making pudding at 3 a.m. and I've lost all control of my life. Hopefully this one is able to drop relatively near that date. I can tell you this much, as of right now I'm recording this on August 16th, it's the day before my birthday, and there's absolutely no way this one is seeing the light of day by tomorrow. So I guess this will be a bit of a belated birthday video for me. I forgot to bring it up in the video that actually did drop like right before my birthday, so in an effort to at least celebrate like a little bit here on my main channel, I figured it's better to bring it up late rather than never. If you'd like to help me celebrate another straight year of rotating on this giant rock at 1,000 miles an hour, it would mean a lot to me if you'd consider donating to me directly through Buy Me a Coffee, which I'll have linked below. Or you could donate through Super Thanks here on YouTube. Or of course, if you're feeling extra generous, you can sign up for a channel membership here on YouTube or become a patron over on Patreon, which is linked down in the description box below. If not, that is totally okay as well. I would also greatly appreciate just a simple happy birthday comment. The sentiment genuinely means so much to me, and I know I don't say it enough, but I love you guys. My audience is the absolute best. Thank you so much for being here and for clicking on this video, and with that out of the way, let's get right into the madness that is this episode of Ren and Stimpy. Today we are diving into none other than the Season 3 episode, Ren's Retirement. Now, you know when you hear the classic funeral march as the title card music that you're gonna be in for an absolutely morbid episode. On that note, I am just now connecting the dots that this extremely dark episode is about Ren's birthday, and well, I kind of just told you guys that it's pretty much my birthday. Yeah, this is absolutely a coincidence, I promise. I am an absolute Neanderthal, and I didn't really think this one through. But it's a little too late to turn back now. We're already past the title card, but yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there and say, I did not do that on purpose. This is just completely ineffective planning on my part. As this episode starts out though, we see Stimpy excitedly waiting by the oven for a surprise that he's baking for Ren. At that moment, Ren comes through the door, happily singing.
I just ran 20 miles and chopped enough wood to last us for the rest of the year. And I'm not even winded.
Very impressive.
Yes, sir, I'm in the prime of my life.
As Ren rips the couch in half with his bare hands and saves a woman trapped underneath a bus in the middle of their living room, Stimpy asks him over and over if he feels good, saying that he's gonna make him feel even better. When Ren asks how he could possibly make him feel any better than he does, Stimpy walks through the doorway with a cake, reminding Ren that today is his birthday. Ren excitedly prepares to blow out the candles, but then this happens.
You're 10 years old. That's 70 in dog years.
Did you say 70? I can't be that old.
Well, aren't you gonna eat your cake, Grandpa?
Ren starts to panic at the realization that he's 70 years old in dog years. He cries, saying that he's way too young to be old. Stimpy makes him feel better though, saying that he's only as old as he feels. When he follows it up by pointing out his gray hairs though, Ren, who just felt like $1,000,000 and ran 20 miles a couple seconds ago, begins to feel very elderly. The arches of his feet fall flat, and his skin turns all wrinkly and saggy, having lost every last bit of its elasticity. He grows extremely long ear hairs and liver spots on his hands as he becomes a shell of his former self.
What are you looking at? This is your fault.
As Ren cries his eyes out, accepting that it's time for him to retire, he pulls out his teeth and tosses them into a glass of water, thus beginning a new life. Next thing you know, we see him sitting at a high chair while Stimpy spoon feeds him. When Stimpy starts making airplane shooting war noises though, Ren starts losing it, full-blown having war flashbacks. He starts screaming about taking cover from sniper fire as he throws his bowl of food on his head, thinking that it's his helmet. As he pretends to return fire, he starts shouting about how they're surrounded by krauts, when all of a sudden he regurgitates his food all over Stimpy. And in the silhouette of food all over him, Ren, in his state of psychosis, thinks that Stimpy resembles the Kaiser, which triggers his war flashbacks even more.
You one-horned devil, you! So, it's up to me to save the free world, is it? It's for the boys who didn't make it!
Now, Ren, you know it's not polite to choke.
Go ahead, man! Right here! Finish it! A bullet in the brain!
Stimpy decides that Ren is way too overstimulated and that it's past his bedtime, so he tucks him in at 6 p.m., giving him a big old kiss on the head and saying goodnight. The next day, Stimpy drags Ren to the golf course, saying that golf is an excellent old man game. However, Ren just stands there in a diaper looking dazed and lost as Stimpy accidentally pummels him with his golf club multiple times. He ends up making an excellent shot, but the ball hits another golfer right in the head. At that exact moment, Stimpy passes the club to Ren for his turn, which of course leaves the struck golfer thinking that he was the one who hit him with the ball. After he takes his revenge in the form of shoving an entire set of golf clubs down Ren's throat, Stimpy wheels him off so that they can make their way through the remaining 17 holes. Later that day though, as Ren is sitting by a tree at sunset admiring the scenery, he has a very abrupt epiphany.
It's the most beautiful, peaceful, serene place I've ever seen. It's all so clear to me now. This is where I belong. Oh, what do you think, buddy?
I'm with you, pal.
Next thing you know, we see Stimpy wheeling a geriatric Ren into a mortuary where they tell the guy behind the counter that they're here to get him fitted for a coffin. The man buzzes in Mr. Kowalski to show him their $5 special.
First, we roll you up in a newspaper and chuck you from a speeding car.
I think we want something a little more traditional.
At that, Mr. Kowalski then shows Ren to their cheapest coffin, which is just a bit too small for Ren, so he decides to fold him up into it, mashing him like a can of tuna. By the end of it, the elderly Ren ends up angrily smacking the guy behind the counter with his cane, saying that he's a Hollywood big shot and that he deserves the best casket that he's got. With that being said, the man shows him to the Eterno Grand Deluxe 3000, designed for the dead to live like a king.
It's got all the comforts of home. Central air, cable TV, jacuzzi, stereo hi-fi, the works.
I'll take it.
From there, we see everybody gathered on a gloomy day at a cemetery for Ren's burial service. Stimpy is a snotty, crying mess. The funeral begins, and it goes about how you'd expect it to.
Somebody's dead.
Ren! Ren! I can't go on without you! Don't go!
Shut up! I can't hear myself die.
Please let me be buried alive with you!
Surprisingly, Ren agrees to this, and even more surprising than that, the people in charge of the cemetery allow it to happen. As the two are buried alive, we see Ren's grave late at night as the guy from the mortuary is dragging his ass on it like he's an animal. 6 feet below, we see Ren and Stimpy enjoying their new life underground. Ren reads the paper while Stimpy cooks up some dinner on the stove, when all of a sudden, the doorbell rings. Stimpy answers it to be greeted by their new neighbor, Worm, who stopped by for dinner.
I like to know my neighbors. Really get inside them. Figure out what makes them tick. Boy, you guys have been great.
After eating them, Worm slyly slithers his way out of their casket, saying bye, leaving their shallow husks behind as they reflect on how nice of a guy that he is. Which is where this story comes to an end. That's not all, though. After the main story, we're treated to a short about this little girl and her dad who eats straight up beef tallow. She wishes that Billy the beef tallow boy from the box was a real friend that she could play with, and next thing you know, he hops right off the box and introduces himself to her.
I'm Billy the Beef Tallow Boy! That's true! I'll coat your veins with impenetrable goo!
The little girl celebrates having a new friend by singing a song with Billy about deep frying everything and feeding it all to her dad. They start by frying his shirt, and he eats the entire thing in one bite. He ends up eating his own deep-fried shoes, deep-fried teeth, and even the deep-fried telephone.
What do you know? Man
man, oh man.
I hate to be around when he goes to the can.
As they feed the old man a deep-fried Buick, and he straight up chokes it down Bevo style, they start to sing about how he's getting really fat. Eventually though, the song ends and Billy ends up saying farewell to his new friend.
Thanks for everything, Billy the Beef Tallow Boy. You're the best friend a kid could ever have.
Dude, I don't even know where to start here. There's just so much to take in with this one. The existential horror present here, more than anything, really just makes it such a dark episode to take in as a whole. Like, for us viewers, this one is meant to kind of evoke more of a psychological terror rather than simple, straightforward shocking moment after shocking moment. This episode is one that didn't really need to lean into the gross out humor as much because the theme present and the twists that they were able to pull off by leaning into it were a massive statement alone. I mean, the whole concept here is Ren facing death head on, which just that topic by itself is one that was unheard of for Nickelodeon at the time, especially in the context given here. Mortality is something that is very rarely laced into children's cartoons. When we consider the fact that Ren in general tends to be kind of unstable too, this episode comes across as almost a culmination of his paranoia. Like, at the start of this episode, he's completely healthy. He's in better shape than ever and feeling fantastic. But Stimpy raining on that parade by reminding him of his age, calling him grandpa and teasing him, was enough for him to go full-blown off the deep end. It's like his actual health and reality went out the window when Stimpy mentioned that he was aging. At one point, he even says that being old is all in your head, in a moment of clarity where he's remembering how healthy that he really is. But mere moments later, when Stimpy is back at it, all of that goes out the window, because again, it's all in his head. Ren overthinks, panics, gets paranoid, and next thing you know, he's so far in his head that he's full-blown having PTSD war flashbacks, saying he's taking sniper fire and putting the bowl of food on his head like it's a helmet. When, like, you know as well as I do that Ren's never fought in any war. That right there, I mean, you gotta admit it kinda walks a bit of a dark and dangerous line. Like they're pretty much just kind of mocking old geriatric soldiers with dementia or Alzheimer's who actually go through this kind of stuff. Plus, him saying that they're surrounded by krauts while he's in the middle of the flashback. Seeing Stimpy as a German soldier. I mean, on one hand, it's kind of giving Cotton Hill vibes a bit. I'm half expecting him to start spouting off about how he killed Fitty Men. On the other hand though, the imagery here is absolutely bonkers. I mean, even outside of the whole German soldier stuff, him saying to put a bullet in his brain? Like, this was shown to literal children. Granted, I feel like to a degree, children were kind of built differently back then. But even then, the imagery throughout this episode was pretty shocking to say the least. Imagining this being aired on Nickelodeon in 2025 has my head spinning like I'm the little girl from The Exorcist. I feel like all of this would have been an absolute hit in the day and age when this would have been shown to adults in a movie theater before their film. But the fact that this was directly aired on a TV channel aimed at children really is a testament to how the 90s really were just such a different time. It's kinda crazy too when you consider that, like, Ren trying to choke Stimpy because he thought he was the Kaiser as he was in the middle of a PTSD war flashback is almost nothing in comparison to them being straight up eaten alive from the inside out at the end of the episode. I feel like they did that on purpose from a strategic getting past the network censor standpoint. Like, it gets so brutal and shocking in the end that in hindsight the beginning almost feels like a distant memory. Between beginning and end though, the amount of disturbing imagery here was just so wild. Ren sitting with the Grim Reaper and choosing his final resting place, the pastor at the funeral laughing about someone being dead, Stimpy wanting to be buried alive with Ren and the joy that he felt when Ren actually agreed to it. Everything there was just bursting with pure, dark, morbid implications. The cherry on top, though, absolutely had to be Billy the Beef Tallow Boy. Like, they put us through the ringer with this episode that'll make you feel a mix of extreme empathy for your grandfather, make you question your own mortality, and even peek into just how financially demanding that laying someone to rest is. But then they follow it up with a silly and light-hearted song about eating nothing but fried foods. I mean, nothing gives you a wake-up call about your health quite like an episode of a show about death, followed up with a PSA about what happens when you eat too many fried foods. What's even more crazy, though, is that if you don't connect the dots yourself, like most children tend not to, the show connects the dots for you in the end. When we see this man fed so much deep-fried food that he goes into cardiac arrest and his daughter has to do CPR on him, I mean, you could argue that he was choking and that she was trying to dislodge it, but I honestly don't believe that's the case. You would think that the artists would have maybe had him grabbing at his throat, doing the universal sign for choking, maybe his face changing color a bit, but no, he's just laying there and next thing you know, his eyes are rolling back. Plus, the way she was using two hands on his chest, those looked like compressions, not the actions of someone trying to dislodge something stuck. All things considered though, sure, the grisly implications and dark themes here were a lot to take in. But where this show possibly shined the brightest in portraying its shock factor was in the sound effects. A lot of people tend to bring up the gross out art style and beat it like a dead horse. But it's worth noting that without the sound effects to accompany them, those drawings just don't really land the same. Like, for example, in that scene where the golfer rips Ren's jaw open and stuffs the golf clubs in there.
There you go!
Or this scene where Mr. Kowalski is cramming Ren into this little tiny coffin. This show truly had a tendency to emphasize its abhorrent moments in the most gruesome ways, and I feel like that's easily overlooked to a degree. The cracking of the bones is bad enough, but the dog crying in pain noises were just a little bit too much. It strikes a soft spot while doubling down on that gross out factor, and the result of it is a massive tsunami of emotions, all sparked by a moment that is perfectly curated. Again, so many of us that grew up watching this show focus so heavily on the gross out close-ups and nasty animation, but when you listen to the sound effects, some of them really do just push things to the next level in the gross out factor. As far as Ren and Stimpy as a series goes, it's no secret that it had many back and forth issues with Nickelodeon censors. Episodes would often be pulled from reruns or face production delays because they were considered too dark in tone or content. The show's creator absolutely thrived on pushing the boundaries into uncomfortable areas. With that in mind, some episodes would be kind of officially banned, such as Man's Best Friend, while others would just kind of silently be pulled from rotation and fade into obscurity. Ultimately, I'd say that's likely the largest reason why no one talks about this episode. It's not that this one doesn't deserve to be mentioned, it's just that it's overshadowed by the big infamous episode. A big factor at play here would be that it's less flashy than the typical gross out episodes. The psychological factor here was a bit heavy, and it's a lot easier for people to process that immediate look at how shocking this animation is. On top of that, with it having such an adult concept and not playing in reruns, it's almost like this one faded into hidden gem territory a bit. Not quite a lost episode because it's readily available, but more of a less mentioned yet equally as messed up story that went forgotten by many after only seeing it one time. All of that to say that in a lot of ways, this episode really is a great one. It fills that space that proves to us that Ren and Stimpy isn't just a gross out cartoon. Sure, it was always disturbing, but it could get philosophical when it needed to. It could have episodes that were equally as tragic as they are shocking. I'm sure I'm not alone in saying that this one is an episode that made me feel a lot more sympathy for Ren, who usually just kind of grinds my gears a bit. In conclusion, reflecting on the question of why is no one talking about this episode, it really comes down to the simple fact that this is just one of many really shocking episodes that deserve to be a part of this conversation, many of which get overshadowed by the more well-known controversies. This one checks all of the same boxes, but ultimately it never really got that official Nickelodeon banhammer, and as a result, it's kind of forced to step back and let the real band episodes take the stage. It's rather sad though, for being honest, because in all reality, this one might just be the most terrifying episode of Ren and Stimpy, because it forced us as kids to confront death and our own mortality, which is a territory that many shows wouldn't have touched with a 10-foot pole. But what do you guys think? Is this the first time you're hearing of this episode? Also, what's your take on banned episodes and censorship? Let me know in the comments down below. I always love seeing your guys' feedback. Of course, I have to give the biggest shout out in the world to my friends in the True 90s Kids tier on both Patreon and YouTube memberships. It means so much to me to have the support that you guys offer, and a million thanks would never be enough to portray how thankful that I really am for your generosity. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and give a little praise to the algorithm in hopes that it pushes this one to everybody else. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Peace.